Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Oh my God, 2023. It
wait.
almost feels like we've been doing this for 3 calendar years now.
Yes, correct. Because, numbers. That's how they work.
Yeah.
Numbers. That's
It's
how
more
they
like
work.
it's probably almost 18 months on and off a little bit, but 2021,
That is
2022, now 2023. Look at us go.
very, very good. And what a happy New Year it is. Because guess what? This show is about NFTs again.
Yeah, there's actually
You heard it
NFT
here
stuff
first.
to talk about.
Yes, exactly. We've been leaning heavy on the market because we've been following the liquidity, right? For any market to go up, small, niche, medium, large, whatever, you need liquidity in that market. And the story last year has been lack of it, thanks to interest rates going up and everybody shoring up, pulling in their lines wherever they are. And we have been following that as NFTs have been just trending towards zero, as many people predicted they would. But maybe as we had a show a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I shouldn't say that, but 2 weeks before we left, I think we had a show about NFTs being back. There had been some rumblings, and at the time my theory was ape staking is going to start to get people feeling risky again, because I think people just miss the yield for no reason. Okay. And no reason is a funny thing, because why do people give large fashion brands or large music entities all of their money for stuff? And it's because there's value in their culture. There's value in what they have created. And Bored Ape Yacht Club obviously is not just the standard at NFTs, but they have slightly penetrated into mainstream, culture. And I think
Slightly.
Right. Well,
I see, what? I'm starting to see them in a lot of like random places. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they just pop up in weird places. And it's always from like Bored Ape holders. Like I get that, but like I'm scrolling on Instagram and it's something that's not NFT, Web3, crypto related at all. It'll just be like a meme page showing a funny clip of somebody and there's Snoop Dogg wearing a Bored Ape sweater. Or like
Exactly.
there's the I can't remember the beer brand that came out, that I think that was like the Nelk Boys made with their Bored Apes. Like it's just like sitting on the shelf there or something. Like I just see this shit everywhere.
It's honestly, it's at this point a hype boy accessory that people know
100%.
is expensive, but they don't think about it a ton, right? Like there's a lot of expensive stuff that you know by sight, but maybe you don't know the name or where it's made or details about it. And that's how Bored Ape. They're not Rolex yet. Everybody doesn't know the name yet. But it's an NFT brand that I believe can get a yield from nothing, because too many people believe in the culture that they've created. So I thought it was going to jumpstart something. And my other theory was seasonality. And we talked about liquidity last year, how we were following it as it left everywhere. But the world is on cycles that have been in place for decades, hundreds of years, in which liquidity moves around because of the way certain things are timed, okay? Getting into the details of that doesn't particularly matter, but you should know that very risky assets, specifically NFTs, tend to rally in January and February, and that is before 2021. And no, we don't have a 10-decade data set to base this off of, and any year can be different. Even when you have that data set, random years just don't follow the seasonality for some reason. But it was
we saw that with Bitcoin, right? Like
2021,
2022 is supposed to be like, it's 2021 specifically, the stock to flow model. It's year, it's gonna happen. It's going to 240K, or like the range was like 130 to 240. They're like, based on the halving cycle and the way that commodities work, and because they view Bitcoin as a commodity, this should all happen. And up until that point, every time it had happened, but it's all hindsight bias and also small sample size too, right? Like we are still really dealing with the unknown here. And I do think that a lot of the stuff, specifically in NFTs, are not going to make sense because we're trying to apply seasonality and trends logically to a market that hasn't been around long enough to have any real sample size to base that on, right? You know what I mean?
A great example is the homie Jordan in AlphaMint. You guys will know him. He wears the Doodle PFP. He asked about an on-chain metric that somebody tweeted out showing that when a certain amount, when the majority of people who own Bitcoin are at a loss and like it was some on-chain metric. And it's not that these metrics are worthless in total, but on their own, they tend to be. And as R2 pointed out, last year was an example. Probabilities are great, but if a probability isn't 100%, you can understand that on any given day, the probability doesn't matter. Yes, over your lifetime, that probability will likely play out for the most part, but that's a long time. And especially nowadays, when everybody in the stock market is short-term minded, forget NFTs, which is fucking like, I minted it 30 minutes ago and it's not up, dump under the right?
Yeah,
I mean, we have reinvented the idea of short-term minded.
Short-term, like, even like day traders where they would close all their positions by the end of the day and not like their time horizon was longer than a lot of NFT traders.
They'll hold something for a few hours sometimes.
And they were like the micro, time.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's what it is, okay? Any one thing on its own, even seasonality, is worthless. But a few weeks ago, when we talked about it being a possibility, and then the last 2 days, when across every alpha room I'm in, on Twitter, everywhere you look, people are like, why are NFTs pumping? We have no idea. It's not about predicting, but it's about when you understand that these things are possibilities and then they start to happen, you go, oh, that makes sense because this was a possibility. Now let's lean into that. And leaning into it at that time was smart. The other thing that we called out aggressively on this show multiple times was that any project that has had a moment will have a moment again. And specifically, the projects that were hovering around, like the late ones, the ones that minted in February, March, that are hovering at 0.02, right? And those floors are so thin. This was the theory, okay? You have the Seaport contract migration on OpenSea delisting everybody's NFTs. And this is right after a vicious bear when most people just left because nothing was selling. It was like, why am I even going to sit here and watch? So the majority of people leave. Well, they delist all the NFTs, and then every collection's sitting at 2% listed. And people who
and also when the markets go quiet for a long time, those listings, like we are talking. I'm looking back at my wallet and be like, oh shit, I bought that 6 months ago. Like a long time has passed of nothingness, right?
Right.
And if you go on OpenSea and list something, I think the default listing is 3 months.
Yeah, they've shortened it. No, now.
So even better.
Yeah,
better, right? Because if all of the attention is off all of this stuff and people are getting bored and they're not logging into OpenSea on a day-to-day basis, a week-to-week basis, even a month-to-month basis, a lot of those listings that they had up have just expired.
Yep.
Even
Yep.
though the collection hasn't had any volume, it's not that the listings are going down because of sales. They're just all expiring. And then all of a sudden you're seeing all these collections with 1%, 2% listed. The floor is like, if the floor of the project was 0.02, the floor to like 0.1 is like 30 NFTs deep.
It's nothing.
It's
It
nothing.
takes 8 ETH to get there. And if you had planned for that and said, okay, let me buy this row at 0.02 and list them at 0.1, you got a nice percentage of that 8 ETH, okay, that the people plunked into that collection.
Well, and that's what actually makes buying a little bit hard too, because you look at the floor so thin and be like, I want to buy 10 of these, but the first one I'm buying is 0.02 and the 10th one I'm buying is 0.035. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like there's been a lot of like, I think slow, careful accumulation of some of these projects, right? I think that is one of the keys.
Right.
And we've said it on this show. Like I have been looking for all of these like little small projects that had a moment and going and buying 2, 3, 5, 10 of them, not like super aggressively, like every single one, but just placing my bets around with low portions of liquidity. And in this very minute, it seems to be working. We could come back on the show on Monday and be like, yep, everything's dead again. Like this is what we're dealing with a highly attention based and illiquid market. But I think the point still stands that it's an entirely doable investment thesis.
Well, let's look at
if you're stacking ETH.
Let's look at this NFT market, okay? And if we analyze the bear, the torch was carried by Sappy Seals and Pudgy Penguins and a few other smaller collections that were hot, okay? And as we came towards whatever this mini bull is, those things started to rocket to new highs. We now have Pudgy Penguins sitting at 7.5 ETH. Last time I looked, they may be down a bit.
I could start pulling some stuff up. I mean, most of our pre-show prep here was just like, okay, like let's just start going through the projects and talking about them and see. And then towards the end of the show, maybe we'll try and find a couple of projects that kind of haven't been the recipient of that, but we think still could be, right? But yeah, so Sappy Seals. Also, I just want to say Happy New Year to everybody tuning in too. I hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas, if you celebrate it, New Year's 2023. There's a lot of conflicting feelings towards whether it's going to be a great year or another down year. I'm typically an optimist, and I do think that we still have a year left to really start to flesh things out. We'll also talk about that too, because I know you have some feelings on it. But I do really hope that everyone is having a good and healthy New Year's so far, and I appreciate you all tuning in and all coming back and watching the show. Also, apologies that we did miss a couple shows there, kind of bookending what we thought would be the last episode of the year. I actually was feeling pretty sick. Was worried I was coming down with COVID again for the second time during Christmas. Didn't end up being the case. I bounced back pretty quickly. But I appreciate the patience and everything. So yeah. Anyways, on that note, we were just talking about Pudgy Penguins.
Yeah, and they are now the new darling, the new project with potential to become a second tier blue chip, right? That project that sits between 10 and 20 ETH and is waiting to break into ape/punk stratosphere. It is now the next one in waiting. Before it was
they definitely felt like they took the spot over from Cool Cats. You know what I mean?
Like, oh yeah, and there's another
ad nauseum about how much Cool Cats dropped the ball with Cool Cats game and their branding, marketing, blah blah blah. But
we have been max bearish Cool Cats for a while on this show.
It might be time to change that too.
Literally yesterday, I had a change of tune. I don't think necessarily they come back in this particular mini pump that we're in, but here's something they did while nobody was looking or caring about NFTs. They secured a balloon at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade next year. Think about this.
Next year. I was like, why wasn't anyone talking about that? Yeah.
Gotcha. Think about this, okay? This parade is watched. I forget the number. It's like the Super Bowl. It gets, insane millions of people that watch it. The floats.
Do they really? Is that
Yeah.
that big of a deal? Like people watch this on TV? Oh, I guess so. Thanksgiving's a big deal for you guys.
Thanksgiving, well, because there's nothing else to watch while whoever's cooking is preparing food.
Yeah,
And usually you put
I always
that on.
forget like Thanksgiving to
early.
Canadians is like a good time to have turkey dinner,
Yeah,
but like
it's not.
where it
I
ends.
exaggerated. Super Bowl, but it's certainly a very watched broadcast, and there's going to be a Cool Cats balloon. I think they're going to start rallying long before that in anticipation of that to end. Guess what? 2 years in a row, Macy's has released NFTs for their Thanksgiving Day parade. Now, why wouldn't they incorporate a Cool Cats NFT into that now that they're having an NFT float? This is a Web3 facing company, and I think Cool Cats are going to get back into at least that 10 to 15 ETH area sometime next year. I think it'll be a false pump because this is one that really needs to shake people out. Like they needed a real wash. The thing is, I think like they could pump to 5 or 6 and then fall back to 3, later this year, and then make their really big move next year. But love Cool Cats at this price now. 2.7 ETH, Cool Cats a buy. Totally changing my position on them. That does not.
It is interesting how kind of price dictates the opinion of something, though, right? Because
they've been here a while. And I didn't change my mind until yesterday, but yeah.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, do you remember at like 10 ETH, it was like, man, how do I get my hands on one of these? Like, I want a Cool Cat. And now they're sitting at 2.5, and I'm like, they really weren't that good, were they?
No, for sure. But this is, trading is emotional, right? And especially, this is why I think NFTs are going to be so successful, because images, art, it's what invokes the most emotion in people. Movies, going out and seeing art with your consuming music, all that. This is what invokes emotion the most. If you combine raw emotion with the ability to instantly trade, you get bubbles like you got last year. A lot of people wondering if that type of bubble is going to come. We could have 3 of those before the decade is out. Like this is raw emotion on a plate, and it's so effectively the monetization of culture and the easily tradable culture that I think people who are on the forefront of creativity are always going to reinvent them enough to get people to go, ooh, let's try this again. I mean, speaking of, so we have these big pumps, right? Like even I think at the time Pudgies were like 3 or 4, and Seals were 1, and people were like, oh,
and we talked about Sappy Seals when they were like 0.7, 0.8, right?
Oh, hey,
I don't want to say we called it, but like
it was
we
an
were
obvious.
talking
These
about
were
like,
obvious plays. They were the only communities with just constant aggressive engagement, and people I know constantly buying into Sappy Seals, and it's they're killing it on the Twitter engagement front, and Floor Price is all about Twitter engagement. So you have this crop of underdogs leading us out. You have the big blue chips bouncing off their lows. I know Apes are above 80 ETH again. I didn't see where Punks were. All right.
I haven't actually checked in on them lately. Yeah.
And then you actually have some successful mints. Okay. Valhalla, which was a successful mint. Everybody watched, had a nice pump, is still sitting above mint price. Okay. Now you have Meme Land, which is another insanely hyped project. And it is revealing its captains later today. So
is it revealing? They've been minted.
Okay. The way that it works is you are going to mint. You deposited your ETH into the pool. There's a priority wait list. Now, if you were guaranteed, if you were on the meme list, or if you own 1 MVP or 1 or 3 potatoes, you're guaranteed. You don't have to worry. Your deposit is definitely good for a captain.
So you had your own 3 potatoes. I find this
Yes.
this is going to be an interesting dynamic because I've had the conversation with a couple people that meme land's going to mint. It's going to be a cook, and then there's going to be all of this extra liquidity on the market. And I'm wondering like what percentage of people were able to kind of buy their way into it, because those weren't cheap either. You know what I mean?
And not only, I'll tell you right now, let me bring up the site because they're oversubscribed by at least 6,000 right now, last time I looked, okay? So that's 6,000 ETH, all right, that they're oversubscribed at. Now, these are potatoes and waitlist guys, all right? So this has hype. The other component here is this is a staking game, right? So you even go look at potatoes on the floor, there's like 30 of them for sale. So like even when the floor dips 50%, it just takes one sweep to get them back up. Most people are buying into this ecosystem. They're staking. The captains are the center, the production of meme. And given how everything was priced, these are going to open at 5 ETH. And I think these could get as high as 7 to 10. Given what's going, again, we now may have a mini NFT bull gearing up here. Okay, let's talk about something called an echo bubble. GCR, a very famous trader on Twitter and one of the best I've ever witnessed, is talking about an echo bubble in crypto. All right, so Bitcoin got up to 69,000 last time. Now let's say Bitcoin gets up to 35,000 this year. That's an echo. That's like a sine wave, and it is half of what we got to last year, but nobody's expecting it. This first half is supposed to be destruction, death, new bear market lows. What's going on? Okay, that's what everybody is talking about. And GCR is expecting the opposite, which is a echo bubble. And I'm starting to believe him. And NFTs, very risky asset, easily could enjoy this tailwind. It looks like exactly what is brewing here. And I am a minter of meme land, so take this bullishness for what it's worth. But I wrote up an analyst report in my Discord about potatoes at 1.3 ETH. I said this is one of my highest conviction plays. In fact, my Discord is about stocks, okay? And about select altcoins and shit. I don't talk about NFTs because that's an AlphaMint thing, and that's where I go and talk about NFTs. I was so passionate about meme land, I wrote up this report at 1.3. Potatoes got up to 3.5, and you needed 3 of them to mint a captain. So if you wanted to guarantee yourself a captain, that was a 10 ETH outlet. And it looks like none of the people who were like, oh, I'll just gamble and buy 1 potato, none of them are getting it. None of them. Okay, there's a priority thing and all this shit about who gets them. Let me pull it up right now. I'll tell you exactly how many they're up to. We're talking about, they have 15,604 reservations, of which 9,067 are guaranteed mints. What does that mean? That means less than 1,000 people on the non-guaranteed are going to get it. Who are first priority?
Oh, so those deposits are just for people that weren't already on the meme list.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So there's a substantial amount of people sitting on the sideline trying to get it.
Exactly. So right now, the amount of people who own 3 potatoes, 1 MVP. Remember, MVPs had a 40 ETH floor last time I looked. Potatoes at a 3.5 ETH floor. You needed 3. And they meme listed, I think it was 2,200 they told us. I forget the exact number. So when you combine all those people, right now we're at 9,067. And this closes in exactly 1 hour. It's 10 a.m. right now. Wow, Ocean is just ripping right now. Is the market going up?
I don't
know. All right.
So focus, man.
Focus. All right. So we are talking, the priority people are the people, I believe, who minted potatoes, okay? So you're talking, there's 10,000 potatoes, all right? There are only going to be 900 of the waitlisted / potato people that get these. Anyone who bought 1 potato in the last month or so, I don't think they're getting these. Now, I know that there's also priority about when you reserved. I forget exactly how they're doing it. The point is, this is oversubscribed. And given what the market was charging you to get one of these are probably opening up at 5 ETH and have potential to go to 10. And remember, this is a staking ecosystem with announcements that are immediately going to coming about staking for meme. Okay. Potatoes have holy shit, we're at 19 cents on Ocean. Potatoes have barely dropped even after the snapshot and having to hold them to mint your captains. But I guess back to what we were originally talking about. Once they do this tally, you are going to be airdropped a random captain, and that is going to be at 11 a.m. today. I don't think it is a reveal. Well, I don't think it's a reveal in the traditional sense. I think you stake it and it grows like a potato, like your captain. I don't know how it works. But again, this is another reason why I think they can get to 10 ETH. This is a hype cycle. This one is very well talked about, okay? And here we are, everybody. So we'll see. 11 a.m., the airdrop happens. They'll go live on OpenSea. Maybe we'll be able to give you the first floor price live here on the show. But there it is. Memeland minted 2 days. They started their mint process 2 days ago, oversubscribed by 6,000 people right now who all had to put up 1.069 ETH. Now, that's not saying that any of these people have 6 or 7 ETH to chase this after the,
right. It's a substantially different ballgame when you're talking about that much. Yeah.
But the rich people who just sit there and go, oh, I'll buy whatever I want if it's hyped. Like they're just going to wait for, those are the people who FOMO and chase.
This probably would have been a good time to throw some WETH offers in on collection offers of, like a Clone X or something.
And do it on Blur so you earn that airdrop. Cambo, are you seeing Ocean right now? It's going berserker bananas. Cambo, speak to, oh my God. I hope you're long. Anyway, NFTs are back, baby.
Yeah, I just, I don't really know how this liquidity flows around in the market. One, it's an expensive mint. Two, I think it's going to open at a good floor price. I think all of the ideas are aligned properly, right? It's obviously got a lot of hype. 9gag is, huge. Memes kind of are running the world right now, and so it's kind of obviously very much
meta arguing. We're not big
very much playing into that.
It's the meme meta, supposedly.
My big thing is okay, you own 3 potatoes, and you get a spot on this. There were a lot of people that could sink, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 ETH into buying their way on the allow list. And, does it all kind of collapse, right? Like we've seen projects do the airdrops or, go on these crazy runs. Like Azuki was a great example, right? Like Azuki kind of propelled a ripple effect through the NFT market because it was an expensive mint, but it went just bonkers after, way, way more than anyone could expect. And all of a sudden it became a 15, 20 ETH NFT in the face of all doubt. But it was a lot of that core community that were able to exit at these highs. Now, all of a sudden, that somebody that grinded for a allow list for Azuki just had these huge 20, 40 ETH wins. And now they have a lot of liquidity to spend. I'm almost feeling like Memeland might be the opposite effect, right? Where it's a lot of people with a lot of liquidity were able to go get their hands on this. And now who are they selling it to? You know what I mean?
I think that I have seen other people suggest similar, that if they go around to alpha rooms right now, everyone wants to sell, right? This feels like free money to everyone. So it could very well open at 5 and be 3 by tomorrow morning, when we get up. So this
and then potatoes collapse, right?
This is why it is such a good gauge to me. Okay, we had a decent pump in Valhalla. It sits above mint. I mean, it didn't go to 10 ETH, but it's sitting there happy twice at twice mint.
And just as a side note,
Yeah.
Valhalla got off the mat again. Like it had gone down to 0.7. I was even
Oh,
looking
wow.
at it, looking in their Discord, and like,
Oh shit, that'd have been yeah. You never know.
like no major announcements. They closed the round of re-rolling. What's going on? It's getting quiet, and then like everything else, got a pump, and it's back. It was back up to 1.2 late yesterday, early today.
Yeah.
Cooling off a little bit, but I mean that project continually keeps getting off the mat too.
Yeah, for sure. So I really think what this is going to be is a great gauge of what we're talking about. Are NFTs back? Like, come on. Tell me a crazy cook in meme land wouldn't get everyone at tell me if meme, okay, and I'm talking out of my ass. I'm not predicting this, but say meme land pulled a Moonbirds, unexpected, just maniacal chasing.
Yeah, like 25, 30 ETH.
Something stupid. You don't think that would trickle down into like, star catchers to 0.3, lemons to 0.3. I mean, look, let's talk about yesterday's story.
But there's some tiers here.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's some tiers here, right?
Right.
Like when all of a sudden, okay, the difference between, like you said, 1 ETH to 5, 6, 7, 8 ETH, like it's a big jump, right? I know you're going to say 7 times, 8 times, but like the type of person you're dealing with in selling to, right?
Right.
The difference between I have $1,000 to spend on something versus I have $10,000 to spend.
Yeah.
Azuki and Moonbirds hitting those upper echelons, 25, 30 ETH. Now you are hitting a tier of where you are selling to like the legit whales, right?
Yep.
Because people don't just drop 25, 30 ETH as a flyer. Like, I mean, I'm sure some people overextend themselves. Like if they have, 32 ETH sitting in their MetaMask wallet, I'm sure some of those sales are somebody that spent way too much on it. But you hit this upper echelon of who you're selling it to, and now it trickles down from the whales and whatnot. But I don't think that like 5 ETH, 10 ETH, unless, I'm sure whales will jump into it, but I think you're just kind of passing ETH around at that point.
Yeah.
That's the feeling.
No, well, look, and I'm not even going to disagree with you. I think to me, and look, this will be profitable, I think, for most people involved. I don't see this falling under 1 ETH, given just.
But I don't think with the potatoes it will be. This is my feeling, and I hope I'm not trying to sound super bearish on what everyone thinks it's going to be a cook, but I bet there are people that bought a bunch of potatoes at 3 ETH each, thinking that they're going to get like a huge cook out of it, and there's a very good chance that it might just be break even for them.
And I mean that is possible. I'm reminded of Artifact, right? Like I think when you have NFTs that qualify for pre-sale, the market is very efficient. I mean, potatoes are very low liquid, all right? But I do think markets are efficient. And I think that everybody knew for a while, even when potatoes were under 2 ETH, they knew it was going to be 3 potatoes. And it took a minute for them to climb up there. It took a long time. And what that speaks to me is that 9gag, which is known for this, is obviously managing their marketing and hype cycle properly. They're out there. Everyone knows about this. And I think one of the more remarkable signs to me, there are 10,000 potatoes. It's not a small, this didn't moon on it being a 3K. Like all the collections that moon nowadays have 2K and 3K supply or whatever, right? This is a 10K collection. There's like 30 for sale. Okay. This ecosystem, but
yeah, it's true. There are 56.
It's nuts, yo. And like what that means is people are staking them. They're growing them. Okay. Yeah. Whatever they've done here, they have convinced people to buy into this ecosystem. And I believe in it. But here's just my asterisk. We do not know if NFT seasonality is going to take over here and we're going to have this beautiful echo bubble in January and February. Do I believe this meme land mint could be a very big signal? Either way, sure. Let's see a good old-fashioned FOMO cook here. That'll just be okay, because here's what I wanted to get back to. Let's talk about yesterday's story. Little Lemon Friends, everybody. All right.
Well, there was more than just Little Lemon Friends, but
pulling the old 5x off of their 0.019 floor up to 0.11 at one point yesterday and holding 0.075 as of right now, with all it would need would be a 10 lemon sweep to get it back to 1 ETH. It's just people getting antsy who, whatever on the floor. That's surprising, okay? Because of course, when listings were 2%, you expected it to jump quickly. The fact that it's holding 4x from where it was yesterday, I think a lot of floors have been, and we're talking about through November and December of last year, they've been artificially low. Like there's a lot of floors that should just be sitting at like 0.07, 0.08, but people knew this was the best place to get tax harvest, right? So all you needed was one little 20 ETH pump. All of these communities you're looking at, these are passionate communities, whether you like them or not, whether you bought into them or not. We're talking about losers. We're talking about lemons. We're talking about Wonder Pals. We're talking about Stark. These are all communities that are lingering. They show up at events. They're there.
Yeah.
These aren't people who see the pump to 0.1 and are like, quick, let's dump. We need the liquidity. Of course.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of those people.
Of course.
And this is okay. There's two things that amaze. Not two things that amaze me, but two things that I'm thinking about with this percent listed metric. Right.
Yes.
First one is, we talked about how everything starts to expire and you start to see those listings drop down. Don't for a second think that once the volume picks up, people aren't going to rush to list. Like that is always the case. There are always people on the sidelines that don't give a shit about the art, the community, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not even criticizing it, but they exist and a lot of them exist, right? So once that volume comes in, the listings do go crazy. But what that listing percentage is a good metric of like, oh, it's really low listed right now. And this is going back to what we talked about of like, buy 5 of something and then just list it for 3x, 4x. Chances are you're going to just be able to sell it eventually if you don't have any kind of like very specific time horizon. But those really low percentage lists just means, as you've said a couple times already on the show, it's just going to rip once a little bit of a volume or attention or announcement comes through and people get excited about it, right? Exactly. But the volume has to sustain. I don't think anybody should have been sitting there watching Little Lemons and being like, oh yeah, we're going straight back to 1 ETH, right? Like there are a lot of people that have been holding on to these for a long time that bought for a lot more expensive, whether it's in ETH terms or USD terms. And now they're looking to recoup a little bit back. And we always do that, like, oh, why would somebody even bother selling for 0.01? I kind of agree. I have tons of NFTs that I'm like, why would I sell this for 0.01? But you start to talk about 0.07, 0.08, 0.1, like it gets pretty juicy. So just, be careful of thinking how far that low listing percentage can really take a collection. The other thing I was going to say is it is incredible to me that no matter how long attention has been off NFTs for and how, quote unquote dead they've been, how quickly people come back to list. You know what I mean? It's just like,
well, the email.
It just shows that the market probably wasn't as dead as we thought. It was just that people aren't engaging as much as we think they are because, I mean, it is incredible that, a 1 day random pump in a collection can, quadruple or 10x the listings on something. It's just like, where did all these people come from? Like, it's been so quiet.
Don't forget. OpenSea sends people emails, and when the offers start going 5x in a day, it draws people back in. So the email is an effective way to pull people back in. I'm going to be more bullish than R2 here. And
I'm not being bullish. I'm just saying it's just like I see a lot of chatter about like, oh, it's 20 listings to 50x the floor on some collections. It's like, yeah, but that's not going to happen.
I mean, we have talked about for months how that's a worthless metric, but it's not a worthless metric for the trade that we set up because because if you a month ago, and I think it was even longer, I feel like 2 months ago, we started talking about buying any collection that had a moment that's under 0.04. It was like anything that's 0.02, star catchers, lemons, and you could have swept the first row at 0.02, waited a week, and people would have gone right back on there at 0.02, right? So had you accumulated there, but we also said specifically you need to list them 5x higher at 0.1. And yesterday, lemons went from 0.019 up to 0.11, and they were at 0.1 for a good 15 minutes. Now, unless you had it listed there, you probably didn't have time to get any off at that price.
Yeah.
Now, here was the price action yesterday. It got up to 0.11 when the listings were really low. People realized what were going on. Listings went from about 2% to 5%, okay? And the floor during that time went to 0.11, then back to 0.06, then back to 0.095, then back to 0.065. Now it's sitting at 0.075, and it's kind of holding in there. And it's not about being bullish on lemons specifically. I think you go look at Star Catchers, it's holding 0.07 right now. I think everyone who's gotten in there is willing to say, okay, I'm going to try to swing trade some NFTs, okay? Anyone who's left has at least some patience. And they at least have some. And everyone's going, hey, is this the start of a new NFT bull? Now, like R2 said, I don't expect lemons to get back to 1 ETH or Star Catchers to get back to 1.5. And we'll also point out, even if they did, you would be down 60% in USD, which is a fabulous opportunity to stack ETH and tax harvest at the same time.
Yeah, that's the thing, guys. Remember, at least in North America, these things trade to the government in dollar terms, not in ETH terms, right? So if you bought an NFT for 0.05 when you minted it, or even just early on, and you're selling it for 0.08 now, you're actually taking 0.05 when ETH was at $5,000. I should, specify, or 4,000, whatever. And you're selling it for a profit in ETH now, you actually still get tax loss harvesting capabilities in there while stacking ETH. So, I mean, that's, that's not nothing. Don't downplay selling for a profit in ETH right now. You know what I mean? Because you get to carry those tax loss. You get to carry those losses forward indefinitely.
Yeah, if you're long-term minded. So I just think that we right now, the reason the lemon, and honestly, I'll be dead honest with you. I expected to wake up to lemons at 0.04 or 0.03, like right back down,
Yeah. And that's, I want to address what Edgar's saying too, because I think that what you're in the process of saying is kind of addressing that too. He said this will happen before lemons will go down. Yeah, no doubt. We're not saying that this is a sustained pump straight to 1 ETH. What we're saying is that when we were talking in November and December about these trades, like having a collection that had these moments of attention, and if the project is still around, there's still a community around, like there was tons of opportunity to go and scoop these projects up and literally just relist at the time with 6-month time horizon for 3x, and you would, 300% your money. And that's what we're saying. It's not specific to lemons. And again, you're correct. Starcatcher's mint was 0.1 and they're still below mint price. Again, that's not the time horizon we're talking about. It wasn't that like, oh, if you minted this, you are now doing well. It's if you were liquid during the, depths of the low volume bear market, there was tons of opportunities, again, to just buy and set the price and sell. Right. So Star Catchers, it doesn't really matter that their mint was 0.1 because you could have bought them for 0.015, I think, somewhere in there at the very lows point. They were very, very available at 0.02, 0.025. I actually swept a bunch around there too. I didn't relist because I actually have a bit more bullish feelings towards them. But the whole point is just that there was tons of opportunity there within like a 2, 3, 4 month span to get some really nice wins, honestly.
Yeah, that was the play. It was you buy them all at 0.02. And right now, had you bought, 20 lemons at 0.02 and had been the one that listed them between 0.09 and 0.1 and just had it on a 6-month list and waited, how much did you net yesterday? You net 4 ETH, right? 4 ETH.
Position size is an interesting thing here too, right? Because you can't just do that with 10 ETH and say now you've got 50 ETH.
No.
But if you've got little bits of liquidity to play around with, spending 0.2 on sweeping a collection and grabbing 8 of them,
here's
and
what
doing
I love
that with a bunch of collections. I mean, I think a bunch of people,
all these NFTs that launch with just one NFT attached to it, these ETFs, excuse me, the ETFs, they're ridiculous. You know what would be brilliant? A cute meta ETF where it buys alien friends, star catchers. Because again, we're not saying any of these projects are pumping because of their merit right now or because they're doing anything special. People are anticipating a general NFT bull. And I think Lemons didn't crash back to 0.04 or 0.02 because people are like, oh, you know, if we get a little bull, these could do 0.2, 0.3. And it wasn't about whether that was good regarding their mint price. It was about if you've been accumulating these, and like R2 said, you couldn't put 10 ETH in one project, but you could have spread it across 6. And that, you know,
it probably have to be even more, to be honest with you. But yeah,
no,
I mean, because they were just, everything was just so thin.
Yeah. But, you know, and if we're talking with people working with 2-3 ETH that you spread across these 6 projects, that's a fuck of a play. Automatic. You would have just woken up. Could you imagine these months having gone by? You haven't seen an OpenSea email offer or sale. It's been like the desert with the tumbleweed. Right, but then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you have like 6 ETH of NFT sales just batter your inbox. Oh my God, the dopamine rush you would have. You'd be skipping around that day. So
and honestly, like a little bit of fun might just be what the doctor ordered too, right?
Yeah, for real, right? So again, here's what we're watching right now. I really think there's potential that seasonality has taken over and NFTs are back. What would be a great gauge of this? Well, we've had a few pumps yesterday. I'll talk about some rumors that those pumps were started by the Seals and the Penguins. Apparently, the Seals and the Pengs were buying lemons. They were buying Starcatchers. And why? These guys are feeling wealthy. They just participated in massive pumps. Some of them who own 5, 6 have been able to sell off. They're convinced an NFT bull is back because shit, they've been in the hottest thing since sliced bread. Right? So now they're going to trickle down into these. That's just how it starts. It was the same way it started last year with Clonex being acquired by Nike. They were flying for 15 ETH when that all trickled down. This feels like an echo. Not going to be as big. We have all these other conditions out there right now that are going to temper it, but let's see if we have a good chance of this echo bubble. Best things to watch, I think. The floor prices of everything that pumped, if Lemons can hold this 0.06, 0.07, Star Catchers, Alien, if they can hold these little pumps and the meme land mint is a cook, okay? Not necessarily Moonbird's astronomical, but now you have more money entering the market in a cook, people feeling bullish about new projects minting, coins, or all that stuff. Plus, there's a little tailwind, at least last time, a nice tailwind now from macro, which is seeming to firm up here. In fact, even while stocks were on soft footing the last few weeks, ETH held in. The ETH rallied to 1250 and was just sitting there the last few days, even while stocks tanked, and altcoins as well. So I think I had
the
all the pieces are in place. Not saying it's going to happen, but we know what we need to watch for confirmation. And hell, if you were early, like we were recommending, you're already a nice 5-6x. So
I had the ETH and Bitcoin chart up while you were briefly talking about that too, and it's incredible that besides this little pump, it looks a lot more dramatic just because we've been trading in such a range. But besides that little pump a couple days ago, I mean, ETH is literally right where we were before we took the break for the show for the holidays. Like nothing's changed. And if you go to the 90-day on there, I mean, since the FTX collapse, I mean, it literally has been sideways. And even these peaks and valleys are just within a $200 range.
But look, it got even deader. I mean, look at those last few. I mean, it even got
right
deader
here.
than that. And think
it's
about
almost a straight line.
We were so used to like 1200, 1210 that when it pumped to 1250, everyone was like, whoa!
Yeah. But my point in bringing that up is we've talked about this in the past on the show, and I'm talking like more past, is that when ETH is running up, sometimes it's not great for NFTs because people want to liquidate into ETH and then, potentially deploy it in other ways or just sell for cash, which is perfectly fine too. When ETH is going down, people are racing to dump NFTs so that they can get the hell out of the market. When ETH is going sideways for an extended period of time, people get bored and they're like, oh, let's check out these JPEG things again. And again, this is very hindsight looking, because now we have confirmation bias. But if we had, if we had done this show a week ago, we wouldn't be talking like this. But again, ETH has been going sideways for a long time, and now the fund's kind of coming back to NFTs for a while. So, I mean, I could see the sustained kind of pumps and like elevated floors for a little bit in this until crypto decides to either go on a run or go on a dump. I do think the longer that we trade sideways, the more likely it feels that we go on a run instead of a dump. It does feel like we're running out of sellers. But
sentiment got way
for the time being, NFTs are a thing again, and there was lots to talk about.
Really? I mean, I do think sentiment also just got too bearish in general. I was looking at the market itself, and people were really, and still are, don't get me wrong, married to the idea that the first half of this year is going to be a crush. Okay. 5% interest rates take a while to show up in the economy. It takes time for that to move downstream and the effects. And then once it's moved downstream, it even takes time for those effects to show up in the data. So there's just so much lag between something we know is going to affect things negatively and it's showing up in the data that moves markets, right? And markets are discounting mechanisms. So they front run what they believe is going to happen. And history, textbooks, logic, everything says we should fall in the first half. Now, as a natural contrarian, fading consensus is my job. Last year, I looked like a fool. Anytime, consensus was right a lot of the time. When everyone was bearish, we would continue to just go lower. And people would say, oh, everyone's max bear. And yeah, we would have violent relief rallies, but never did it find a real bottom. I mean, okay, I get, I understand we made a price bottom in most assets, but we did not rally and make everybody have the feel goods into December. And that can continue to happen. But the last few weeks, people have really just given themselves to the idea that shit is about to collapse. I firmly at this point believe the opposite is going to happen. Doesn't mean the bear market's over. Doesn't mean bad things are coming. But everyone believes we're going to collapse in the first half of the year, make a bear market low, and start to recover later in the year. I think the exact opposite is going to happen. And we're going to have a massive bull trap in the first half of this year that looks like the echo bubble we're talking about. Bitcoin to 35,000, ETH to 2,500, NFTs to half what they were in ETH terms. We could see and think about all the people that left, went back to their real jobs, have started to build up their savings again. Jim now has 4,400 saved up. Oh, he could buy 5 alien friends. He only had one last, all these things. And they're going to ignore. At first, they're going to be like, fucking NFTs, those things, fuck and they're only going to buy back in when Bitcoin tips over 35K, the FOMO's back, people think the bear market's over, and then whack. Then the effects start to be felt.
And here's, what I saw going from the 2017 crypto run to the, 2020 crypto run, right?
Yeah.
People got stomped out in 2017 in the same way that they got stomped out in 2021 or 2022. They did. And they left. And they left with their tail between their legs. And they said, oh my God, I bought what's that?
Angry, hating crypto.
Yeah, hating. It's all a scam. It's all. But here's the thing. That seed has been planted, right? And in the next cycle, and I'm not saying, we were talking about this bull trap. It might pull some people back in, but the next real cycle, those people that have already participated and go, this stuff's still alive? It's still around? It's not dead yet? And they go, okay, this time I'm going to play it right. And they probably do. right? I think that
Look,
we have a lot more savvy holders now than we did before.
and that's
Strong.
yeah,
That's bullish.
totally,
That's
totally.
scarcity. That's part of the power of scarcity is that like the more people you start to accumulate in this snowball that's rolling down the hill, the less
But
that's available. But
here's the other side of that coin. It's why it becomes an echo bubble, because you're just not going to get as high before people are more sophisticated. Okay, they're just they're not going to be as
no, but what I'm
gullible.
saying is that all of those people, they will likely start to accumulate at a lower price than where the top is going to be, right?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
No, yes. But what I'm saying is the two sides of that coin mean that there's two effects.
Yeah. It's
There's
not going to
two
be
effects
violent.
we should
Yeah.
be aware of here. And I think that the reason it becomes an echo bubble is because since people are more sophisticated, they understand what's going to happen, and people start to get out earlier because they remember last time. Now, how does an echo bubble become the next bubble? Well, you need new blood. I don't want to sound too Machiavellian here, but you need new, naive people who don't understand how bubbles and hype cycles work. You're a veteran now. You're sitting here.
The power of memes and like just culture, and even FUD, right? FUD is important in this too, because again, I'm going to go back to 2017. Like in 2017, Bitcoin was everywhere. Like it was on the meme pages, it was being talked about on Reddit and blah 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 blah.
The best meme of all time, arguably. Honestly.
And yeah, and so, all of those people that never participated in it, they saw it, start, and they're going, this is ridiculous. It went up to 20K and they say, this is fucking stupid. Why would Bitcoin ever be worth that much? And then it crashed and they would say, see, I told you it was a scam. But now they're all aware of it. You know what I mean?
Well,
now everybody knows what Bitcoin is. NFTs just had that cycle. Sorry, I wasn't quite finished my thought.
Sorry.
Like NFTs just had that cycle. Everybody was talking about it, but a very small percentage of people were actually participating in it. And the people that were on this, I literally saw a headline being like, "Congratulations, internet! You successfully bullied NFTs out of video games. Like, well done." And it was like not ironic either, right?
Yeah.
But everybody's aware of it. And if it goes away for a year, which we're almost there, 2 years, and then it comes back, there's going to be a lot of people be like, I thought NFTs were dead. And then they're going to start to go, why aren't they? What's there? So anyways, that's my thought.
It does. And it sucks people back in. And how do we get the non-echo bubble? It's when you have that new blood that comes in, and that's going to happen. Who knows when, but I'll tell you, we have the Web 2 wind at our back because they aggressively are moving into digital assets or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And I just, I do think that there is a mini crypto, NFT, and stock market bull brewing here. But again, let's not get into all-time high mindset yet. We have to see what 5% interest rates do to the economy. I think the only reason we're going to
I'm not sure we've hit max pain.
Yeah, for sure. And I just think the only reason we're going to squeeze out a bull run here is because the effects of 5% interest rates are essentially not going to show up on time. They're going to be late, like you used to be for math class because you were in the bathroom smoking weed with your friends, okay? It's just it's supposed to show up at 9 a.m. It's going to be here at 10 a.m. And the problem is there's going to be an entire hour where the market's going to have nothing to do but go up because, this is the funny part. If you look around, what it looks like is the Federal Reserve has engineered something people thought was impossible, especially given how high, aggressive, and quick inflation showed up. And the fact that most people believe the Fed doesn't even have the tools to affect it. It looks like the Fed right now, by all metrics, has manufactured a literal soft landing. The reason we're still in a risk-off mindset is because people are like, there's no fucking way. They're like, no. Every other time in history, every textbook on earth, every economist you talk to, every analyst at every bank will tell you right now that 5% interest rates are going to have a negative effect on the economy and screw us. Here's the thing. If they don't show up on time, let's say for some reason we can't figure out, nobody knows all the variables or everyone would be rich, right? There would be no market. Okay. So for some reason we can't see, it just takes time. Like it takes an extra 3 months. It takes an extra 4 months for it to show up. Well, markets are going to levitate higher in that. It's one of those things like when it has nothing else to do, never short a dull market. If it doesn't have any more reason to go down and there's way too much time before those next bearish catalysts show up, it's going to levitate higher. That's what I think gives us our echo bubble. Let's hope, knock on wood, this is the start of the new NFT, and everything looks nice out there. Right now, we'll shift to macro very temporarily because we'll say that today we were waiting for the jobs report. And remember, we've kind of shifted away. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, my friend.
No, it's all good. I mean, I don't have much to add on to what you said, just because I agree. But I do really want to, like, especially this year, focus on engaging with the chat a little bit more, because I do think it's one of the really fun things about doing the show live. And Mamunga said, in context of the crypto and NFT participation, like there's a huge amount of people who are just not in crypto or NFTs. Like, look around you. How many of your neighbors owns or participated in the last bull run? He said, they said, I literally know one guy from our area who said he's buying crypto. So there's a lot of potential people who can jump in that will be fresh blood. I mean, it is so true. In the group of people that I know, very, very few of them have any meaningful amount of their net worth in crypto or NFTs. And I really only know one person that was getting into NFTs, and it was through ENS names, right? So it's a huge pool of people that can go in there. And I think, individually, if you look outside of your Web3 communities, you probably can't list too many people that have participated in any meaningful kind of way, right?
Yep.
So anyways, continue with your thoughts on the macro.
So this morning we did get a jobs number, which I think is now understood that the market narrative has shifted from, well, we want CPI and PPI to come in soft, to we need job market to come in soft, or the Feds. And this is what was funny to me. All year you heard, oh, the most important thing is CPI. The moment it starts going in our direction, they're like, oh, no, that's not important anymore. Now you got to look at this thing. This thing is what's important. It's like always moving the goalposts, and there's logic behind it. I get it. But the idea now is if the job market doesn't cool, the Fed continues to be maniacal in their interest rate, blah, 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 blah. Well, big jobs number this morning. Everyone was like, oh, we're going to tank. It's going to come in hot. Comes in slightly hot. Well, go look at the markets right now. Markets are ripping to the upside. And this is always one of my favorite signals, right? Because we talk often about reasons meaning nothing, right? Reasons are what you ascribe to something after it happens. It's worthless. Well, who cares? Like, you're looking back and trying to figure out why something happened. It's an imperfect science, right? We don't know the exact reason that something triggers a large entity to sell and it causes whatever, right? So this is, we really, what you want to do in markets is look under the hood and see, are there sellers? Are there buyers? Are they accumulating? Are they distributing? What's going on? Well, when the bad thing you expected to happen happens and the market does what you didn't expect it to do, it is a very good indication you've run out of sellers. All those bears who were shorting have no more money to short, and all the bulls who had to unload for liquidity have no more stock to sell. That's when you get your really aggressive reversals. It's what happened back in October when CPI came in hotter than expected. Holy shit, we're going back to the depths of hell, and the market had its biggest one-day reversal since the GFR, since the great financial recession and crisis back in 2009. So those are always your biggest signals. And That was when the market bottomed 3,500 and rallied up to 4,200 almost in a straight line over the next 6 weeks. This is, again, another great sign. And back to our main topic of the show, NFTs, a good tailwind if it holds. I mean, we're watching here. Everything's fucking bullish right now. And you get scared. We all have PTSD, but let's try to put it in perspective. NFTs could rally back to their ETH all-time highs. We'd all still be down 60% in USD. It's not crazy to think you get an echo bubble to things going to, a third or half of what they were. A lot of pieces in place here. Loving what we see today. Still have PTSD. We love you, AlphaMint.
Oh, man. Yeah. Hey, I mean, there are still a lot of NFT projects where I think you have the potential to buy in right now if you're liquid that haven't quite received like the crazy pumps that the projects we talked about earlier are. And a lot of the projects we mentioned, come up very quickly on our radar simply because we do have them, right? So you're looking at your own portfolio and you see them. But as was mentioned, Alien Friends went on a nice little run there too. I think it's actually doubled. If you were liquid and buying these things up at under 0.4, what day is that? Just like around Christmas time, like not even that. Oh, sorry, December 4th. Even if you go back further into October, September for 0.3, you just 2x your money. It was a little bit higher. It's cooled off a little bit, but those are projects that, you might not get a 300% pump, but you can trade a little bit more volume with. But like Alien Friends at 0.35, I don't know that I would have personally bought them there, but like what a strong community. And there was no reason to kind of fade them at that level. Another one that I was seeing as OpenSea just completely crashes on me was like right now, crypto Moris, right? I don't own any of these, but
good one.
0.13, a pretty juicy price for a project that had a
lot.
lot.
They pumped to 0.2 yesterday. Okay.
Oh, at 0.22 right now.
Yeah. And
but even that isn't even a 2x yet.
Exactly. I think that Crypto Moris, fabulous pick. I thought it was funny. I noticed the other week because it was, I forget who tweeted it out. Steve Aoki sold his golden Mori. I think it was 0.2 ETH. He had paid something like 50 or 80. I think maybe even over 100 ETH.
I'm sure we can find it.
Yeah, find it right now. See what the history was. Obvious tax harvest, but whoa. And I remember when he bought it thinking, man, that's a gorgeous Mori. I would love that Mori. Just shows where your head's at during a bull market. I mean, I looked at it, I was like, yeah, that looks pretty good. Look at that. I'm telling you, the bull is back, baby.
Yeah, OpenSea crashing is the absolute sign of
we did it. We made it, guys. We made it. 15 minutes until the captain's mint closes and they airdrop those who qualified their captains. So we'll see.
Yeah, man. Oh, actually, I'm gonna talk to Analyze here for a second too. He asked earlier, and I didn't get to it. How high did Galactic Apes get in their prime? They were 3 ETH floor.
Yeesh.
In their prime
at $3,000 ETH.
At 3,000, yeah, at least. Like
9K.
Those were the next blue chips, and it's been fun to go down the Galactic Apes rabbit hole. I mean, full disclosure, we
monkey hole.
Do have the
monkey hole.
I along with the Star Wolves and the manager of the Galactic Apes contracts now. So I mean, you asked me a year ago if that would ever be a thing. That's pretty wild to me.
Look, I know we're biased, but I would be aping the shitballs off of Star Wolves and Galactic Apes. We don't, we try. It's hard. This is like when CNBC has to talk about Comcast stock, and it's like Comcast is the owner of this. We are part of these projects, but that's a great example of a ridiculously steadfast community, very low listings. And someone pointed out something yesterday. They said, oh, PFP's pumped. Now the cute meta pumped. What's left? Oh, wait, is it P2E? Why, yes, my friends, it is P2E. And you got lots of people sitting out there like Star Wolves, Ether Orcs, everyone yet to see the massive pump. Though Star Wolves did see quite the impressive sweep in the Genesis collection the other day. Now back up to a 4.88 ETH floor. Go grab them while they're cheap.
Was briefly at 69 ETH.
briefly.
Yeah, just an incredible run, and like huge shout out to that community too, and how much fun it's been to see the Galactic Apes and Star Wolves come together has just been absolutely unreal. Honestly, like just such two like-minded communities of just full of like wonderful people, and it's been fantastic. I love it. I love it so much. And like just seeing people trading Star Wolves for Galactic Apes, like just having a lot of fun with it. A lot of the memes and just the
got lost.
that people have been doing.
I got lost in the Star Wars Genesis collection. I'm sitting here going, how are people sleeping on the pixel art of Star Wars and Galactic Apes and Ether Orcs for that matter? These are three amazing pixel art collections with very passionate P2E communities just doing their thing. Where honestly, we're talking about it right now in the context of an NFT bull run, but most of these communities never even care or talk about it. They're not sitting. The only time they look at the floor is when they want to buy something. They're like, ooh, look at what somebody put on the da-da-da-da-da. They're focused on the product because it's fun. They enjoy it. Maybe you would have fun and enjoy it. And again, P2E has just not seen its move. It's the one thing everyone declared dead first. Oh, P2E can't work. Never going to work. Blah, blah, blah. I love GameFi, and I love what we're building.
Wolf Game is actually one that has held on just remarkably well. I can't even look it up on OpenSea anymore.
Wool is constantly one of the top trending coins on Uniswap. Yeah. I mean, it's that game. Now, I'm sure
for all of our criticism of it and its association with Beanie, and for all we know, it still could be associated with Beanie. It has kind of checked all of the boxes.
What I love about it is it proves to me, and it should prove to everyone else, okay, that GameFi P2E, it can work. It can work well. People are missing the actual formula that needs to be there for it to work, but it can work. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's not a failed segment in any way.
No. Well, you know what? We also shouldn't discount. I don't have to be careful. It's just there's an irony of pumping this up. Do you remember last year this time, how pumped we were about the Super Bowl, right? Like this was supposed to be our coming out moment of like NFTs.
All right. Well, I mean, and that was arguably, and it's funny because there were rolling peaks. Like and this is classically how a bubble it's not obvious, right? Like the bubble takes time to pop, like knocking over a vending machine. It doesn't go on. You got to rock it back and forth a few times before it tips. And people get fooled each time it rocks back and forth. And there were some rolling tops there over February, March, and April. But you could definitely argue that the hype going into the Super Bowl, which led to major disappointment when not but one NFT was mentioned anywhere but in the back of like one commercial.
Yeah, we were doing this thing of like, look who's the halftime show. They're all ape holders. Like it's gonna be oh my God. We were like,
it was the beginning of the end. It was the beginning.
And I think we got Nouns glasses in a Bud Light commercial that like was just like a subtle nod.
Which are still fucking fly as hell. Like I want those like high-end Noun glasses that guy makes. But now know, hey, for the ballers who listen to this show, Nouns, I think, are a fucking steal. Though they've already gone up from what they were, but they auction new ones all the time. So,
but back to the Super Bowl thing, we do have that Digidaigaku commercial coming in, and it's I think we already know that it's going to be something to do with the QR code and whatnot. But what I think it is like the release of their mobile game that anyone can play without an ETH wallet, without you know what I mean? Like, I think that this is like an actual big, large scale mobile game that they're going to onboard a ton of people to. And then it's going to be like as we've mentioned so often on a terrestrial Thursday and whatnot, like the idea of digital assets will be there, and you can turn it on, you can activate it if you so choose, right? So I
Right.
think that that's an exciting proposition. We saw how many people um, scanned the Coinbase ad, right? Sure, there was $1 million up for grab, but like, cool. Got tons of people to actually just scan the QR code, and even if a small percentage of them kind of carry on with that, that's great. I think we might be looking at something like that there. I'm gonna be careful with my expectations this time, at least.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that, Mamunga, is everybody knows that whether you're talking about Web 2 or Web 3. I know that in Web 3, during the peak froth of the bull, people just cared about the earn. And the reason is because everyone's a speculator, right? Like you're marketing games to a market of traders. That doesn't make much sense. Yes, there is some crossover in the Venn diagram of people who like NFTs and people who game. But the majority of people buying into any NFT project are buying into it because they think the price is going to go up, or they think it's going to provide them some sort of cultural or monetary value in the future through airdrops, exclusivity, membership, whatever you want to say. That is why people buy NFTs right now, to say, hey, we want you to play this game. Well, sure. I don't know what segment of the population games, but I'm sure that segment of NFTs also games. Maybe it's a little higher or whatever. But yes, the idea is you must make a good, fun game. But that's just as difficult in the Web 2 world as it is in the Web 3 world. And whether somebody achieves that or not is probably not because they were going to try to make a good game. It's because they accidentally made a great game that everyone loved. I think that's how it always happens, right? You have inspirations, but you never know what's going to hit. I think mentioning like the games I was talking about, they just have diehard communities who are enjoying what they're doing. That's what keeps listings low, and that's what lends them to, say you look at Star Wars, you look at Ether Orcs, you look at these products, they have 50 NFTs on the floor, 60 at tops or whatever. It's going to be one of the next things that goes. And watch, if Ape Staking and Meme Land are successful with their token drops, watch GameFi come back and people not care about the game and just care about the yield. Again, in a smaller way, in a mini echo bubble compared to what we have. But I think the propensity to yield farming itself is a game. Everyone knows on some level it's going to collapse. You just think you're going to be one of the first people out, right? So it in and of itself is a game. We just got to get everyone to agree to play the game again. And I think that as liquidity comes back in, Web3 gaming, P2E, whatever you want to call it, is an obvious segment to eventually pump as this liquidity rolls around to different areas and stuff. I mean, I'm looking at the charts. Yeah, go ahead.
It's one of the things that, like, I'm sure that there will be these like little metas that are going on, and P2E or gaming or play and own, however you want to call it, will have like some more pronounced peaks. But gaming is one of those things that, like, I do think that it's just going to be at its core a line upwards, regardless of like the rest of the metas that happen, right? Like we have the cute meta, pixel art meta, blah 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 blah, like these like little niche kind of things that everyone gets really excited about and then kind of fizzles away. Like I do think gaming, much like gaming in a traditional sense over the last 30 years, has just grown and grown and grown, and then it was just like all of a sudden like, holy shit, this is a absolutely massive industry, right? But people faded it for so long. Like I definitely think that gaming transcends like a meta. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And yeah, Mamunga for sure.
Yeah. So I actually just want to say this is Alexi. I didn't recognize. I guess maybe you have a new name or something. But you talked to him from the Lost Glitches, and I'm going to DM you after the show too, because I owe you an apology because you have DM'd me and I didn't respond. But yeah, go on with what he's been saying.
I agree. I do think as a project creator, the goal should be to bring new people into Web3. I also believe as a project creator, you're kind of like the Federal Reserve. There's some things you could do, but you don't have necessarily a direct effect on bringing people into Web3. Like, even an established game would probably have a difficult time bringing everyone into Web3 instantly. Like, even if Fortnite tomorrow said we're moving to the Ethereum blockchain, I'm sure a lot of people would raise their fucking eyebrows at first. Like,
But
it's
would
not,
they stop playing?
you know, I no,
I don't ever see that yet being a hard transition, right?
no, right. Well, yes, I agree. It's not that it's going to be difficult, but I think that just what you said, creating a good game, which I think largely happens by accidents, you know, putting together the right team, having the right talent and drive and all that, of course, but you can't force you can't force creativity. It comes when it comes. So I think that as a creator, you don't have that effect. I think you can set yourself up to be the beneficiary whenever that moment happens. Sure, it'd be great if you were the spark. But I think each project would almost do better for itself to be more internal, focus on itself, build out as great a thing as that they can build. So when the inevitable wave, and look, maybe it's you, maybe the great thing you build does inspire that migration, but keeping it, you know, less about like you being the one that tries to make the mass appeal. Like, don't compromise on your own direction and creativity to try to satisfy a mass market that isn't there yet. You know, in the mass market,
Yeah, if the game is good enough, it's just
Yeah.
going to do it itself.
yeah, exactly. So I guess I'm nitpicking here just so we have something to talk about on the show. I largely agree with everything Alexi is saying here. I think just when you're sitting around in a planning session, there's so many ways to look at it, and I do think for projects right now, you know, and EtherOrg, Star Wolves, all great examples. You could say plunk a lot of money into short-term marketing, be constant on Twitter, get the floor price up and all that type of good stuff. Let's see how long that's sustainable for the projects that are doing it without anything real underneath. I think really focusing on the product you're building, saying, you know what, if it brings in the masses, great. But when the masses come, they're going to see how great a thing I built. That's just kind of my mindset.
Yeah, I agree with all of those thoughts. Oh man, we're coming up on 11. Are we getting some meme land info here?
Exactly, 9,084 guaranteed, which means there's going to be about 900 available for the wait list. There is less than 2 minutes to go until that closes. We'll see if there's some fancy fireworks and new animations on the website. Here's what I'll give you, some inside info if you haven't minted. When you mint, you get airdropped something called a treasure map. These treasure maps have 5 different levels of rarity: special, extraordinary, magical, epic, and mythical. We do not know what these treasure maps do. You get one automatically dropped to you. You can also get an extra one if you tweet about it. You know, one of those good old promote us and we'll give you an extra little thing. If you miss out on the captain's mint, you're one of the people who put up your ETH for the deposit, but you didn't get it on the waitlisted mint, they will still be airdropping you 1 or 2 of these maps. And to get that second map, by tweeting out, they ask you to speculate on what the maps can be used for. So there's another component of this meme land mint maybe to think about, is that there are these treasure maps that everybody who participates in the auction, whatever you want to call it, the deposit, the auction, the sale, everyone gets one. They're going to be somehow incorporated into the ecosystem. Maybe they'll have even a floor price on OpenSea. Maybe they'll be important. 11 a.m. has just struck. I will give you the final tally here on the mint. That is 9,093 guaranteed, which means you will have 907 allocated to the wait list, people who hold less than 3 potatoes. However their priority system works. I think they've given details in the Discord. So there it is. Captain's Mint oversubscribed. There are 10,000 NFTs. There are 15,600 people who tried to get one. We are now awaiting the next announcement in the Discord that will let us know how the airdrop is going to go down. That's what I got for you right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be shaping up to be a fun day, at least watching that. I don't think I'm going to participate in this one unless, like, if it opened at like 2 ETH or 3 ETH, I might just grab it for the potential of where it can go. But I do think it's going to open higher than that.
I think I think you made a great point, and I've said this before about other moments and projects. I think it'll be a great gauge about whether this little NFT bull has some legs. Like, let's see it. You know, maybe it. I'm not saying it. I gave that wild example of it being a Moonbirds like hook, but let's say it just goes to 6 ETH or 7 ETH. Everyone's happy, and people who want to sell can sell, but it still maintains that price.
I don't want to say that that's nothing, but I think in the grand scheme of things, that will probably be nothing. I think if we like rip to like 12 ETH, 15 ETH, I think it's on for everything.
Yeah. Look, I mean,
like Groundhog Day.
Coins just took
if meme land mints and it sees its 2 ETH shadow, we're all fucked for another 4 months.
I'll tell you right now, markets are absolutely ripping. ETH has just taken another leg higher, now at 1260. Alts are on fire. It's all a tailwind for NFTs here and what we're talking about. So let's see if, again, if you're not in the meme land, man, I just think it's interesting to see if it can cause good, dopamine. We need dopamine and good feelings for the dust in your wallet. Hell, if all that dust in your wallet went to a 0.1 floor, you'd probably have a pretty good January. Everybody listening, huh?
Yeah, I went digging through the hidden folder. Yeah. Dude, I was like, there was a couple of things in there, where, like, not crazy. Don't get me wrong; it's not like covering my losses or anything. Yeah. But I was like, oh, there's some volume there.
Yeah. Yep.
I wish I could check it now, but OpenSea is not letting me. Of course. Oh no, it's back.
I like all the signals that we're seeing. So far, yesterday's pumps have kind of held their floors, so it's really looking good out there. And I guess the only asterisk is the PTSD. We feel like Lucy with the football. We have gotten so close to these type of breakouts, like at least 2 or 3 times during the bear. I mean, I remember Edgar even I think Lemons pumped to like 0.07 one day from 0.01, and it died in like there's a star.
Even Starcatchers mere 2 months ago pumped to like 0.12.
0.13.
And that's
when
I saw it back.
I was kicking myself when I didn't dump. I like them. Every time I want to sell them, I look at the art. I'm like, this is good.
I know that it's not her art, but she has kind of re-stylized it, and they redid everything to distance themselves from Boki. And 1, I think that was the right move. And 2, I think she upgraded it for sure.
Totally better. So, I think this these
Froggy Friends is one that I saw on my hidden folder.
I minted 2 of those for
I did too, and I've never sold them.
I sold mine for 0.15, thinking like, wow, what a little cook for this thing. And now they're what, 0.3, 0.4?
They were 0.35 yesterday. They're cooling off at 0.3 right now. But I was like, fuck. It's a 4.4K collection. I'm like, I'm going to hold these. See, they're still active. They're still doing stuff. I don't know what, but they're still doing stuff. So good. Huh?
All right, let's see. Captain's Mint.
Yeah, I don't see anything on it yet.
No,
man, AM show's back.
Yeah, we were on vacation for the holidays, and we were going to come back on Wednesday, which was going to be our first show day once everyone's back to work. But we had to delay one more day. We're back now, and it'll be the regular schedule going forward.
Got it.
And what a great time to be back. NFT bull looks like it's trying to rear its horns. Let's give it some encouragement. Let's feed it. Feed the bull. Feed the pig.
Trying to think of some other ones that like.
Remember, guys, bulls make money, bears make money, but pigs get slaughtered. Take those profits.
What's Art Blocks doing these days? Do we get the? Is it cooling off?
Here's my one bearish, and it just shows how you gotta never be married to anything as a trader. I am now bullish on Cool Cats and bearish on Art Blocks. Now, I am not bearish on Art Blocks to the point where I think you should sell the ones you have unless you desperately need liquidity. What I'm saying is all the money over this bear has flowed into two things. Pudgy Penguins and the Sappy Seals, those two PFP collections, and generative art. You had squiggles going from 5 to 17 ETH. They're one of the few things that are actually up in both ETH and USD value, even though it's very little compared to where they would be had ETH still stayed where it was. But generative art has been the story. And you know what? Now that everything else is pumping, it's only logical to me that some profits will be taken there. And it's going to either rotate into, ETH or other coins itself, or these other smaller NFT collections, which are starting to see nice little pumps here. Let's see if we get those sweeps again. Like I said, the rumors yesterday were that it was the Pengs and the Seals starting these little pumps in all the cute meta collections. Yeah. Let's see if they come back. There were some large ass sweeps.
Well, I'll tell you what I did. I did buy, and again, I guess disclosure is the name of the game here. But I did pick up a couple of Oni Force, ON0N1 Force. Hearing some whispers about some revitalization of that project, so I thought, just take a flyer of, again, a project that had a huge moment, minted in August of 2021. Was kind of like Azuki holders hate hearing this, but the OG left-facing anime meta kind of thing. But very mismanaged project. Heard that maybe there's some rumblings there. I don't know. I took taking a stab on it.
All right. Well, this is a little anticlimactic. The airdrop for Captain starts in 22 hours, so we'll be talking about the action on Monday, how the mint went.
All right.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, I know. Expected something big there.
Let's
go back. We got some fun here, baby.
15 ETH R2. We're back.
Yeah.
18 ETH and rising.
Not to be had.
You're like, no.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, let's do the thing. What price do we think Meme Land opens at? And when I say opens at, we're talking not the first couple sales, but that first hour, what they're kind of going around. And then what do you think they're at on Monday?
I think it'll
open. A call. This isn't saying buy, sell at that point or whatever, but just general feelings. We have some entertainment.
I think over the weekend, it's going to open at 6.5 tomorrow, fall to 4.2, and be at 8.8 on Monday.
Oh, those are some wild rides there. All right.
Yeah, that's a crazy swing, huh? Well, whatever.
Not financial advice.
8.8 on Monday, either way.
8.8 on Monday?
Yeah.
I'm going to take the under, but I would be happy to be wrong about that. I'd be thrilled to be wrong about that, actually.
Good.
For your sake. No, for everyone's sake. I know there are other people going after it. I think it's going to be good. But also for the market at large. Like I said, if it has that, here's the thing. Everybody knew. It was like Moonbirds was everybody knew. Oh my God, it's going straight to 6 ETH, 10 ETH, no problem. And it destroyed that. To the wildest dreams upside. So, I mean... But then what happened after Moonbirds?
Well, no, we still had...
We crashed.
No, we still had
that was the last pop we had.
Meta, we had the other side after that.
Yeah, other side and VFriends V2, and then we died.
Yeah, but there was still a good amount of time. People still believed, when we look back historically, you could argue the largest suck period was that other side. I mean, that thing fucking, if there was any liquidity left, that sopped it up like a goddamn mop. That was it. That was you with that piece of bread in the gravy bowl at the end of Thanksgiving. Just, all that liquidity gone.
There. Oh, right. It was the miners that won that battle for sure.
Yeah. Well, no,
I think they burned more than we took in on that, right? Yeah.
I on Twitter I saw they went on really great vacations over the holidays. So
who are the Yuga?
Yeah. Gordon Garner, and your money is being well spent. Fear not.
Yeah, but you know what? They're playing with a different amount. Like, it's not like
I'm joking.
I know you are. I fully well know you are. It's
Look
not
at
like
in the Bahamas with our money. Wait, the Bahamas?
Yeah. It's not like
the stink.
What was that? What was that project? They just got arrested.
What?
Mutant Ape Planet.
Yeah, what was that?
We didn't even talk about that.
$3 million fucking sits on the top collections too. Like they see a lot of volume.
Yeah, now it's trading at high volume. I'm like, oh, yeah. But I mean, we're a little Logan.
I just got a very cute text that said, "Did your potato hatch?" I love it.
Did it?
Makes me feel loved.
You got it.
I'll go explain. I don't have the potato. I wish I did. They're still pretty valuable.
How did that potatoes? I thought you had the potatoes.
No, I didn't. I got it, and honestly, you always feel really lucky when this type of shit happens. But Kaiju King.
Oh, Kaiju's had a huge amount of them. Yeah,
they had a huge amount because Augmented did a lot of the dev work for 9gag with the stuff.
Yeah, and then I think 9gag CEO is a Kaiju holder too, right?
Yeah, definitely. But they hold really awesome R-Waste raffles. So if you know the Kaiju ecosystem, the two coins that it creates are R-Waste and Scales. And when Kaiju's partner with a really exclusive, the last one I think they did it for was PXN. And I know everyone has bad feelings about PXN now, but back then it was the hot mint that you wanted to get, and it cooked right afterwards. So it was a good cook if you got the mint. So you pay a certain amount of R-Waste, and you can get as many raffle tickets as you want to win the whitelist. I didn't get PXN, but oh boy, by the grace of the universe and the NFT gods, I got Meme Land through Kaiju Kings by risking, what was it? I want to say, I think I spent 100 R-Waste, which was like $40 at the time. So I risked $40 to get this spot. Lucky enough to hold it down, which gave me the right to mint one captain. So I was part of the guaranteed mints. I didn't have to because gas spiked immediately after the mint went live, because remember, it was priority now. You wanted to get your reservation in the first 907 people, or you weren't getting a captain. So this was lucky for me. Thank you, Kaiju King. Shout out to Dots. But no, I didn't have any potatoes. I don't even remember. Was it a surprise free mint, or did people know it was coming?
The potatoes?
Yeah.
I don't remember, honestly. That one fell under my radar.
So potatoes minted for free. They're at 2 ETH right now, and they were up to 3.5. So you can assume 1.5 in value has now switched over to the captains, right? So minimum 4.5 ETH in value is being assumed by the market into captains, plus the 1.069 people paid. So you're looking at an assumption of 5.5 ETH open, and I do think it's going to be higher than that. I think it'll be 6 or 7 on the open. But yeah, that was how you had to get. If you had 3 potatoes, you were guaranteed one. But if you had less, you got waitlist and price. So I think there was a lot of factors to it. Like if you had 2 potatoes, but you registered later than somebody with 1, I think you get priority. Like there's a lot of factors. So it's not just going to be the first 1,000 that reserve. There's also going to be factors based on what you hold, who you are, all that shit. Here's the bottom line. Anybody that got those what was the wait list campaign they were doing on Twitter for the last 4 weeks?
For Meme Land?
You know what I'm talking about? Like they gave out waitlist codes for people.
Yeah.
Okay. I hate to tell you all, none of you are getting any cap. Even if you beat somebody else to the reservation window, potato holders get priority. So if there's 1,000 potato holders that reserved within the window, they're getting them ahead of anybody that raced, to be the first and paid the high gas, whatever it was, 54. You will be getting a treasure map airdrop, and again, that they'll probably have value. Like that's probably going to be a free point too for having participated in this, in this airdrop, in this. I don't even know what to call it. Mint deposit, whatever it's called.
Well, we're gonna see what ends up happening with that. Oh.
Final update for Cambo Ocean 0.1925 now. Closing in on 20 cents. Just a rocket, but you can't blame it. S&P rocketing, ETH rocketing, NFTs rocketing.
We're back, baby.
Everywhere.
All right. 11:15 Eastern time. Feels like a good time to wrap this up if Meme Land isn't, dropping today. But again, Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us in 2023 on the AM show. We're going to be back to the regular schedule Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. And hey, we looks like we're going to have more NFTs to talk about, at least for the time being. I mean, we kind of ebb and flow of like what's going on, Sam Bankman-Fried. That was a hot topic for a while, crypto, macro. But NFTs are the bread and butter here, and I think that's what most people come to listen and talk about. So we appreciate that, NFT market. Thank you so much for a good start to 2023. All right, episode 177 is now in the books. We love you all. Do us a solid, hit the like button on the YouTube channel if you haven't yet, and we'll see you on Monday. Free market. Say the words.
It's time, everybody. Good luck at the tables, D-Gens. We're back.